Hello, Moral, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. I have a very interesting guest for the first time on the program, Mr. Omar Beauperthuy. How are you doing, sir?
Doing all right. Thank you for having me, Mr. Gibbs.
Well, good to have you here in the program. Your mother and I went to school together.
Yeah, small world, really, truly.
You come from a big family.
Yes, a lot of us. She's one of 28, so.
Yeah. And your grandmother, oh, she's an amazing lady.
Gotta love Matri. Gotta love both my grandmothers. Actually, name is Matri.
That's good. So how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Just been busy in the world of sports.
Well, it's good to have you here in the program because I've been speaking with you before we started, and you're quite knowledgeable in your field.
Yes. For those that don't know, from my experience of playing the game at a high level, collegiately and professionally, to also from an academic standpoint, where I have 3 degrees, is always in the position I'm in. Is always good to give back, to the community, and you want to see things grow properly.
All right, so you're director of the Performance Sports Academy?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about the academy.
All right, so Performance Sports Academy, basically from the name itself, we focus on player development. So from a player development aspect, we work on developing your skills. For basketball primarily, and also we work to coordinate with your speed and agility. So we do a lot of plyometric work that requires in all sports.
That's good. And you studied in the States at one time, right?
Correct. So my 2 degrees are from in the U.S. and my final degree, the last one, the master's, is from Europe. I'm in Holland, actually.
Oh, okay. And you played basketball in the U.S. also?
Yes. From high school to college.
How was it in America?
It was a difference. I would say it's a difference.
You liked it?
Yeah, I liked it. The biggest thing for me was the adjustment.
Really?
Really and truly, with kids, including myself, when I left, you're coming from St. Martin, where, to put it in perspective, you are a big fish in a small pond. And even before I left, I wasn't a big fish. I was just tall, but there were more people that were better than me. When I got to the U.S., it was a difference in a sense of, being tall. Though I was the person that always stood up. Okay,
how tall are you?
I'm listed at 6'8".
6'8".
6'8" inches.
You're pretty tall.
Yeah. So when I got to the U.S., it was a difference in a sense of, hey, you're tall, yes, congratulations, but now you got to work hard.
But they wasn't asking at that time if you're a basketball player when they
you could identify, and they could say, well, hey, he's tall, he has potential to be a basketball player. Like you see right now, a lot of kids have potential, but with potential, it comes with discipline. How bad in the sense of, do you want to develop your skill? Are you putting in the time for it? So I got kids that practice with me, that train literally that 7 days a week,
really?
5 to 7 days a week for 2 hours. And even that is not enough in a sense of, I always, you try to challenge them. And when some parents even feel the same way, is that in your free time, what do you do to get better? Are you taking time out to work on your conditioning? Because there's never been a person that says, well, hey, too much conditioning is bad for you. If you don't have conditioning, it could be detrimental to what you're trying to accomplish. So, from that perspective, is you always got to continue working hard.
And I think people don't realize all the people that you see that are successful, whether it's music, sports, what have you, they work at it. They don't just get up, spend 1 minute or two. They really focus on that.
Yeah, so good that you mentioned that. So, like I tell kids all the time, and people in general, you have to be possessed with your craft. When I say possessed with your craft, that, we had recently Carnival on the island. And we trained, we played during the carnival period. There's no day. We
So
literally
they take off that time.
No. They had kids. Listen, they had kids that, that came home for a bit of vacation for a week, and from the time they landed, I want to get in the gym. That they had their schedule put together where they would work out in the morning, work out in the afternoon, and then they'll go out to a show, at night. But that has to be the formula. You're not trying to take away from your youth and saying that you can't enjoy yourself, but you gotta know you have to set your priorities.
So besides being director of Performance Sports Academy, you're also the interim president of the Basketball Federation.
Yes, so currently I am the interim president of the Basketball Federation, just overseeing everything. Right now we're currently trying to get things in order where we can have a proper election, in which that the candidates will postulate themselves and basically get things done in the right channel. The former president, Mr. Beauperthuy, God rest him, he passed away, and for a couple years it's been dormant on the island. So I decided, in regards of wanting to postulate myself to give to give my expertise, but also provide insight on things, because from my experiences from abroad is that you see how things are being ran, how it's being executed, and I want to see that for St. Martin.
When you look at basketball, have we produced the kind of players that are good for the NBA?
Put me on the spot there with that one. I would say no. We have potential players that, and when I say no, I say it in context of we have players that are playing professionally abroad. The NBA is basically like a 1%, not even a full percent.
So it's very difficult.
It is very difficult, and that doesn't mean that we don't have professional players, because we do have professional players. You have Dion Butte, you have Shaq Rumley, and you have
where they're playing.
They are Shaq, I believe, was playing in either Germany or Iceland.
Oh, okay.
And then you also have like someone like Kofi Hamilton that is has completed his college career and is going to test the international waters now. So we are producing players, but to say the NBA market, it is a scarce market. Just being realistic.
So with the Sports Academy, how many students you have?
So in regards of the academy, so we have 3 teams.
Okay.
Yeah, well, actually 4, because the amount of kids we had for the under 18, we had to split it just to be able to give everyone a fair chance to compete and also to develop. From a perspective of we want to be able, kids need to be able to make mistakes for them to allow them to grow.
Right.
When we look at the age groups, like the U13 category, this year we participated, all the clubs we participated in the Swaliga Youth Basketball Association. While playing, yes, the U13 league is something that it's growing, but we would like for more kids to be able to participate. Why is that? We're seeing that kids that from that age, they need to be able to play, besides fall in love with it, but to make their mistakes at that early age.
Is it more difficult working with them than the other ones?
Not, I wouldn't say not really. I would say not really, because it's a give and take, because you would prefer that the attention that they, in regards of they tune in and focus. So once you get their attention, they're gonna be locked in. My biggest concern is that you would rather deal with a 13-year-old that doesn't have any bad habits than a 15 or 18-year-old that has a bad habit, because then it takes a while for that habit. You're accustomed to that. So even when you're playing, and I call it that, when you get in trouble out on the court, you relay back to that same bad habit, because that's what you're most comfortable in, So I, from the youth perspective, younger is always better.
In case you've just joined us, I'm Earl Gibbs here speaking with Mr. Omar Beauperthuy. He is the founder and director of Performance Sports Academy. He's also interim president of the Basketball Federation. And we're here speaking with him. Simrat is not really a basketball artist, but you say that, or it's getting there. The reason I put it like that is because baseball, always we played that in school. It was more popular, more common than, but maybe I'm out of touch and I don't know.
Well, okay, you mentioned baseball. Strangely enough, I have no idea in the sense of the game of baseball. I know people when they hear that, they always look at me like in shock because it's like, hey, but do you know who your uncle is? I was like, yeah, it's Mervyn, but I don't.
He's a big baseball man.
Yeah,
he played in Holland too, right?
I didn't even know that. You see, but from I think for me, I do think basketball is one of the largest sports because every district, primarily every district you go into, has a basketball court for recreation.
Because you don't need a huge field like baseball.
Yeah, you don't need a huge field for baseball. So I do think that's one of the large sport on the island, alongside with soccer. So when it comes to that perspective, I do think that we can be able to produce athletes. We might not have the tallest.
Yeah.
But we just need to start from earlier ages so that we could produce that basketball IQ to give them a fair chance to compete with the rest of the world.
What do you think is holding us back? Because when you look at St. Martin, compared to other, I was telling you I had Andrew Jones on the show many years ago. He became a huge baseball player with Atlanta Braves. We haven't been able to produce someone like that yet out of St. Martin.
I think it's a couple different areas that we gotta look into. The first thing I would say is that we do have to, and government is starting with allowing, the different organizations or associations to do so. So when I say that, I mean that we have to start from within the schools.
Okay.
And that comes with also proper teaching and educating of coaches to develop these athletes. Most of the countries that I've been to, it always starts from within the schools. So from that perspective, if we have a proper channel that these kids will be able to develop from that age. And when I say from a development perspective, I'm just talking from a basketball perspective. I'm talking about all sports, where kids could be able to try out what all sports and see what they like. And then afterwards, it translates over from elementary to the secondary. And then also you have like the league like SEBA to be able to continuously play club basketball. So I think that perspective is definitely the focus, and they've been starting to do more of it amongst the SS Islands and also the ABC Islands. Recently, I traveled to Borneo with the secondary high school winners of the 3x3 basketball competition. So
how did it?
So on the island, it was a rough one for them on the island. Whichever team that won, I was going to travel with them.
Yeah.
When they got out to Borneo, honestly, they competed and they went undefeated out there.
That's good.
And one of the conversations out there is that, the kids are doing great, but also another issue that we have as from a coaching perspective is that we have kids that are born here citizens, when I say born here from their parents, and they do not and cannot receive their citizenship until turning 18 years old.
So they were born by parents who are not Dutch citizens.
Correct. And by law, you basically receive the nationality of your mother. That there is hurting us a whole lot.
Really?
Yeah, so from a FIBA perspective, World Basketball perspective, there's rule that's been there for forever that you're only allowed one nationalized citizen per team. So meaning that even though this child was born here, raised here, but he has to wait until he turns 18 to get a Dutch passport. Let's just say if this player is a good player, and Holland might be interested in him, right? Because he received that passport after the age of 18 or at 18 years old, he's considered a naturalized player. And by rule, they can only have one naturalized player. So if you're somewhat on the spectrum of decent, good, you got to compete with other players that are in that same situation, because then you're not going to be considered as a naturalized. You're not going to be considered as a natural born person with a Dutch passport.
And that puts youngsters in St. Martin
at
a disadvantage.
It puts them at a disadvantage. Yeah. It puts coaches also in a disadvantage, in which there's laws and policies in place where that in regards of wanting funding, and as I understand, rules is there to safeguard and protect.
Right.
So you would not be able to have access to that benefit that a Dutch passport citizen has.
And you have a number of youngsters?
So I have two that are away. One that's in college, one that's actually going off to college, and two that actually competed in the 3x3 event that are standout players, but they don't have that Dutch passport.
And that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna stop, as an association to give up on the kids. And we're trying to find all sorts of avenues to create opportunities for them. Because if you give up on them, then they become astray, and then we got an increasing crime on the island.
Yeah. In case you just joined us, I'm Earl Gibbs here speaking with Mr. Omar Beauperthuy. Mr. Omar Beauperthuy is Director of Performance Sports Academy. He's also the interim president of the Basketball Federation. When we come back, we're going to continue speaking with Mr. Beauperthuy right here on Speaking of Everything. Please do this.
We are vibrant, expressive, warm, and diverse. Together, we conquer, and now we expand into new horizons, giving you more of the best. Introducing our new Beauperthuy Plus, with wider acceptance, purchase protection, and enhanced security. Whether you're online, traveling, or in paradise, experience more with Windward Island Bank. Beauperthuy Plus, more of the best.
You're watching Speaking of Everything. My guest, you've seen him right there. It's Mr. Omar Beauperthuy, young St. Martin. It's good to have him here in the program. St. Martin is changing all the time.
Correct.
And sometimes I say to myself, boy, we don't have no St. Martin people doing anything, So I'm happy to have you here, man, and to see what you're doing, because the last time I had someone with an academy with a guy, I think he's now in the States somewhere, that was focused on baseball. But you mainly focus on basketball, right?
Correct.
And you have also some function coming up.
Yeah, so in regards to for the organization, we focus on all sports, because the goal is creating opportunities for kids, but primarily we focus on basketball, and then comes to football, American football afterwards. Because
American football.
Yes. So reason being is that I've received interest now from when I was going to school in the U.S. just because of my build.
Yeah.
And the reality is that a lot of the kids out here, they might not be tall as myself. However, we produce a lot of physical players that are quick, agile, and all of those components, it factors in for a tremendous football player. So for me, what I look at is that opportunity for kids in the sense of not just from a sports perspective, but from an academic perspective. Education is top priority. Without education, your customer hearing parents say, and say, well, hey, without what you have in your head, there's nobody. So we try to instill that in the kids so that they can obtain value. We strongly believe that with a child that has value, instill value in them, they're less likely to commit crime. They'll be more focused on wanting to build and develop themselves.
All right, so this event you have coming up, what's it all about? What are the days?
So the event that we have coming up on May 28th to the 30th, we have our first annual high school 5-on-5 tournament.
First annual high school 5-on-5?
Correct. So
explain us for the people who don't understand.
So people don't understand. So we want to make this is not like something that's a hit and run. We want to use this as a pilot program to see the interest of the kids, to see who's interested in wanting to play, but also with this pilot, we also want to be able to create 2 categories within one, so 2 leagues in one. Okay. So meaning that you have first and second farm as a cadet JV league, as they would say in the US, junior varsity, and third farm and upwards, you have that varsity league. Reason being for splitting the 2 of them is that, most of the time growing up, when you enter into high school, you have also the bigger boys. And then you probably ain't gonna make the team because the bigger boys got to play. But from that perspective is that child is losing 2 to 3 years, because sometimes even go third farm is like, hey, the older boys still have the court. They are losing out on development. So from a coaching perspective, right, we want to be able to continue to develop athletes, and we want to also bring that that camaraderie, that school pride, that togetherness with the kids, because a lot of kids, when you hear them, from just looking at it from schools in the US to down here, it's like, hey, which school you go down here? Or I go to such and such school here, academy, and like they say it like it's a bad word, we want to be like, you're proud to to attend school. I went to academy, St. Martin Academy, before I left to go to the States. So you feel you feel a sense of pride in it. So the teams that are participating in the event, we have 9 schools participating. Only one school that didn't have enough numbers to participate was the St. Martin Vocational School. However, we feel that for moving forward, when we're able to produce an actual season, we believe that with organizing, we could be able to develop and have them come out to have all the schools that are participating on the Dutch side. So we have the Charlotte Brookson Academy, Sundial School, St. Martin Academy, also the academic campus, and the vocational business campus, MPC, St. Dominic, Learning Unlimited, and CIA.
Well, that's good. You got basically all, man.
I want to make sure I miss no school, because I don't want no trouble with nobody. But so we really want to focus on that, and also make it that it's for them.
Yeah,
it gives it an environment. Kids, for me, is providing a venue, because you see all the time parents are always saying, well, hey, what is something that is kids friendly? We had Carnival that took place. Yes, it's for everyone, but this is something we want for the kids, all about the kids, creating that atmosphere that that you belong.
Is there age range in this whole thing with the young?
So for this tournament, no, there's no age range once you're attending school.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we wanted. That's why for using it as this 3-day tournament as a pilot program, so that for the upcoming season, upcoming school year, we be able to put them in their respective categories.
Then you have schools competing against each other during the season.
Correct. And also too that we just want to be able to see, and this is a perfect way of being able to sift through talent. Yeah. When it comes to that perspective of a selection or a national team, rather than, well, he say, she say, well, this person could play. No, we're seeing that from throughout the school events. We're seeing the best players by position, by numbers, by the statistics, to say, well, hey, these players, I think, will sum up to make an excellent selection team that could represent St. Martin.
I'm sure you have in the future scouts coming to look at the players here.
Yeah, so I wouldn't use the words scouts. I would say coaches that come in. We've had coaches that came in prior in October, to see talent. We've had the NBB here on the island, which is the Nederlandse Basketbalbond, the Dutch Basketball Federation, in other words. And, kids were being able to get an opportunity to go to the Netherlands for a talent week, actually, that taking place from May 30th to June 8th, to be able to, tour the, the notorious, I won't say notorious, but the Orange Lands Academy, in which, if you're able to play at that level, to be able to be accepted in that level, their schedule is by far one of the amazing schedules, because they travel all throughout Europe to play the best of the best countries.
So I shouldn't use the word scout. I should use
cool. Because when you say scout, a lot of times with parents, and I get it from a parent perspective. They want opportunities for their kids, right? They want opportunities for the kids, but then also we got to look into it from an overall perspective. Can your child play at that next level? You can't say, not because it's your child, you have to be realistic with yourself, because let's just say I've seen two instances where, from when I was playing, a child that was playing at the Division 1 level, and he was miserable. He was miserable because the game speed was too much for him. You want to make sure that kids are playing in their respective category where they can be able to succeed in life. When you want something that you're not up to that level, it makes the child frustrated, and especially when you're dealing with youths now, depression is real. So you want to make sure that the mindset is there. Are you able to commit to that? From a Division 1 schedule, you basically on the clock. So give an example, I would start my morning at 6 o'clock in the weight room. So if we're required to be in the weight room by 6, that means the latest you could get there is 5:45. So, and then from there, from 6 to 7, we lift in, or 6 to 7:30. Then you got 30 minutes to get ready, grab food, and then you head to class. Because we're in college, you got to go to class, and I might be finished with class by 11:30 or 12. I got individual workout for 45 minutes. Then afterwards, I get some lunch. Then by 3 or 4 o'clock, you got practice for 4 hours. So you get out there basically at 8 o'clock and get something to eat. Then you have study hall right afterwards until 11 o'clock. So your schedule, and this is mostly all college schedules, where the schedule is put in place so that you could be on point with everything, but also keeps you out of trouble, keeps you from being idle.
You're too busy.
Yes, exactly. So when kids say, well, hey, I don't know, I ain't gonna do that. No, you don't have a choice. If you want to be at that level, and this is something that parents are instilling and investing in their kids from that early age, in a sense of, these kids are playing organized ball from 7, 8 years old, and the parents invested to travel to continue playing within AAU. So the kids are familiar with it. I tell kids all the time, okay, not because, we in Carnival that we take breaks, So we were training during the Carnival time. But you have to, it's a mindset. You have to know what you want. It ain't something that you can turn on and turn off when you feel like.
You mentioned parents. And a lot of people complain over the years, it's important that the parents are not really involved. How involved you see parents today now with the
it could do better. It could do much better. From parents need to understand that, I understand you want that ending result, but it takes, when you say it takes a village, it really and truly takes a village too in regards of raising and preparing a child. You know, you might say, why my son isn't being picked for a selection team, or why is he not being picked for an opportunity? But I also like to come back with it with a question that of what have you done as a parent? Take away from a financial aspect, because yes, that's important, but you have a child that he loves the game, his sport, whatever sport it may be, but what have you done? Have you, let's say you wake him up in the morning, hey, it's time for you to go for a run. You know, these parents that are in Europe or in the US in particular, they're investing with their child, say, hey, we got to go for a run. We have to do this. And I do feel that once that switch is being made, right, it'll be successful for Okio, because I do feel that, and I've said it before, I do feel a Caribbean child is more nurtured. And it's not wrong for a parent to love their child, you know, but I feel that if it's used in the right way, you know, I think that we could really produce a lot of respectable and prominent athletes.
Well, you know, you're a young man, founder and director of the Performance Sports Academy, and now you're interim director of the Basketball Federation. What are your wish lists? Do you have a wish list? Oh, I'd love to see this, X, Y, Z.
All right. So in regards of wish list, I do have a couple wishes in the sense of you want to see basketball at a level in which, from my perspective on why I do this, is that while I was in the US or even while in Europe, there was like, hey, you play good, man. You Americans always play good. And I was like, I'm not from America. You know, I'm not from the US. So where you from? You know, from St. Martin. Where is that? You know,
That's in Holland to ask.
No, that was when I was in Italy and in Ireland.
Okay.
The biggest thing for me is to be able for St. Martin to gain the proper recognition. No offense to the other Caribbean islands, but when I tell you I'm from St. Martin, I don't want you to ask me if I'm from here or there or over there. I want you to know that, hey, St. Martin, 37 square miles. I'd be fine even if you refer to me as a Frenchman or a Dutchman, but tell me that I'm from here. Yeah. You know,
but you're both anyway.
That is true. That is true. You know, that is true. And then also too, from that wish list is that for that the kids, we could have a channel in the sense of, again, we're talking about the school system where this is something that we have an annual calendar, you know, because the reality is government has always asked for this annual calendar.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. Government has asked that from all sports, in which we could produce that calendar so that we know throughout the year the different events, talking about basketball events for the kids. So also, because besides from the event planning, the kids need that period also to train. Yeah. Training, and even a rest period is necessary. We don't want it to be oversaturated where the kids is playing too much that they don't have time to rest and they get injured, and we don't want it that there's no events that they become bored and, you know, just lose love for the game. Lastly, I think from a federation perspective, I just think that we want to be able to work together. You know, when we say that different, again, when it comes to event planning, work around with our sister islands more, and also, you know, knowing that, you know, Holland wants to be able to assist, wants to be able to help. And NBB is they're advocating right now even that they want to be able to assist from down to material, from a material perspective.
Good. Got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, but we need to get, and from a federation perspective, we need to get things done properly, you know, so that we can be able to receive those type of gifts from them.
Let me ask you, Mr. Beauperthuy, French St. Martin, are there basketball federations and organizations over there?
So yes, so the French St. Martin, they have an association over there. They are basically, how their setup is that they are, you know, the jurisdiction is that they're under Guadeloupe, and then Guadeloupe under France. So there's a channel for them in which, hey, kids that are seen, that are, you know, potential I believe they go out to Guadeloupe, or they can go directly to France, and continue with the development aspect. We want kids, we want to be able to administer that also. And this is why the NBB is so vocal on wanting to help. But also too, I would like for just from a perspective of, yes, we want basketball players, but we need coaches also. We need coaches, we need trainers, when I say physical trainers, because again, in the sports world, all of those things, are pieces to the puzzle in regards to developing a complete player.
How about sports medicine? Anyone interested in that?
Well, we will need to have all of those.
Yeah,
we will need to have all of those. We need from a basketball perspective. We need sports medicine. We need referees. We gotta give a shout out to the referees that's been so passionate, because I gotta say passionate because they've been refereeing since I was a child.
Really?
So and they ain't to say that they're being paid large amounts of money.
Yeah.
They're doing it for the love, but also from a bigger picture, it's to safeguard the youth them. Because if without them, imagine we won't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's one thing too. Within the tournament, the high school tournament, that we want to recognize these coaches. We want to recognize 5 of those coaches, and so 5. So it's between 5 individuals. So some are coaches, some are referees. That's been part in the development of basketball on the island. We want to be able to do this on an annual basis, whether if it's one person a year. But I do think that these 5 individuals, it is well deserved.
So can you run down for me again this event, the first annual event?
Yeah, so the event is our high school tournament will take place May 28th to May 30th. So we start the Wednesday in the afternoon, and then the Thursday, the following day is Ascension Day, so it's a holiday. So the kids can be able to come out there to play from early, and also we finish up on the Friday.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be taking place at the LB Scott Sports Auditorium.
All right. And you have the times already too?
The time's going to actually be posted on Monday. We have a schedule. All those things are going to be posted on Monday on our social media platforms. So once viewers go on the Performance Sports Academy page via Facebook or Instagram, they'll be informed with the time and the schedule, and also see, again, with the schedule to see who's playing against who.
Right. So as director of the Performance Sports Academy, if parents want to reach out to you, or players, they can reach out to you?
Yeah, players can reach out to me they can reach out to me via my phone number, which is 526-0753. My WhatsApp is readily available. They can also reach out on our social media platforms, like I said, Performance Sports Academy, on Facebook and on Instagram.
That's good. So again, I want to wish you much success.
Thank you, Mr.
I hope a lot of people come out for the event. We're
looking forward for current students and also alumni.
Yeah.
We're looking for alumni to show some school pride. To come out support your former school. And give the kids something to look forward to see a crowd in there.
And so, Ms. Beauperthuy, I want to thank you. I want to wish you much success. It's good seeing a young St. Martin taking the initiative that you've taken. I hope things work out very well and you're very successful down the road. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs.
All right, thanks. And that's it for now on Speaking of Everything on Facebook, YouTube, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. See you next time. Take care. Bye.